With the Final Four slowly approaching this weekend, I thought it would be a good time to look back on the tournament and kind of get into some prospects that I personally thought rose their draft stock over the past month or so. We're going to kind of include the conference tournament, but more so an emphasis on March Madness and how these players played during their tourney games. I have four guys for y'all today, and we just get right into it. Starting off with the 6-foot point guard out of Vanderbilt. Some may know him as the guy who just missed the shot to beat Nebraska. A lot of you are going to know him as Tyler Tanner, the main guy for Vanderbilt. The main reason why they were as good as they were. And I mean, at 6 foot, obviously a small point guard for the NBA level, but I mean, at the college level, he's a dog, man, on both ends of the floor. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit sleep on him during the year. Obviously, I had heard about him, but I didn't really watch him too much. But watching him during this March Madness run and the one game they had in the SEC tournament, I can definitely see what the hype is about. Now, when I'm talking about stock risers, I'm not really saying guys are going from, second round pick to suddenly a lottery pick or anything like that. But for example, like a Tyler Tanner, he's kind of been mocked like really late first round a lot, probably like 28, 29, 30. But I think that he's been good enough in this tourney to get himself up to possibly a top 20, maybe right outside that 20 range. And I think he rose significantly, especially because of his tenacity on the defensive end. That's something that really impressed me over this tourney run. I mean, obviously, like I said, at 6 foot, and I think about 160, something like that, 160, 170. Absolutely love his on-ball pressure and the way he gets up into guys, and they can't really play with the ball around him because, I mean, he has quick hands and he's just going to take it and go the other way with a layup or a dunk. And I love his anticipation off the ball, especially on, swing passes or just, kind of lackadaisical passes. He really can get there quick and he can steal those too. And just the way he goes about defense, he's kind of, he's more of a defensive playmaker. Not really, obviously he's not gonna, be a defensive stopper, but he tries to make plays on defense, which I think is a positive. And in the way that he gets steals and the way that he has ball pressure, especially with his off-ball anticipation, it kind of reminds me of how Allen Iverson, he was a steals leader in the NBA, but obviously he wasn't, like a Scottie Pippen or something, but he was getting his steals and he was anticipating passing lanes and he was, on ball steals. So in that way, I think that Tyler Tanner can kind of give that kind of impact on the defensive end. For him being at his size, I think that can get him on the NBA floor, and he can be an average to above average defender. But I think with his offensive production that he can bring to the league, I think that's more than enough. And speaking of his offense, obviously we know that he can shoot the three ball, shooting more than respectable at 36% from three this year. But what I'm more impressed with is his slashing ability. Like I said, he's super quick, super fast, can really get downhill in a jiffy. And I mean, the way he finishes around the rim is what impresses me the most. He just finds a way to get the ball in the rim. And I mean, that's the name of the game. Score the ball. He finds a way to get the ball in the hoop. You've seen poster dunks from him. You've seen acrobatic layups. We've seen floaters. We've seen it all around the rim. Obviously, his mid-range, we could expect a little bit more. But obviously, going into the NBA, it's threes and layups. It's kind of the name of the game now. So I think on the offensive end, he could be more than serviceable. Obviously, like I said, his size could be a bit of a concern, but I think that his willingness to defend and his offensive production could really get him on the NBA floor and could possibly move him up into the top 20 to late 20s in the NBA draft. Next guy I have on the list is Dalen Swain, the 6'8" wing coming out of Texas. 17 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists. And what's impressed me the most about him is I think I see the ability for him to be a secondary creator at the next level. I kind of see like a small bit of J-Dub over at OKC. I think that his ability to handle the ball, relieve some pressure off of the number one option, like, J-Dub does with Shea, and his ability to create his own shot is starting to become a luxury in this league, especially for if you aren't the guy on a team. Being able to create your own shot, it's becoming a premium. Especially you see teams like Detroit, they've been said to need another shot creator. So I mean, if he can get into that range, that'd be good for him. And of course, for him to be the shot creator that, he could be at the next level, the shooting is gonna have to improve. He didn't shoot a horrible percentage, but he also didn't shoot a lot of threes. So the 3-point volume is definitely what's gonna have to improve, which I don't think will be an issue because I think his jump shot is super smooth and pure. Another thing that he does really well, obviously, like I said, 7.5 rebounds a night. He rebounds the ball really well. That'll translate to the next level, I believe. And of course, he has NBA size at 6'8" plus wingspan. He's able to be a switchable defender. He can probably guard, your 2 through 4, 2 through 5. And obviously, if he builds some more muscle, he'll definitely be able to go 2 through 5. But as of right now, we'll say 2 through 4. Look at his stats. His turnover per game might be a bit alarming, but I personally think he won't have that much on-ball ability at the next level. Obviously, I say he may be a secondary creator, but that'll even be less possessions that he has on the ball than he did in college. So I don't think that it'll be a huge cause for concern. I think if we can get his handle tighter, we can get him, seeing the game better, seeing the game quicker. I think that'll bring those turnovers down, and he'll be just fine. He'll be 20 years old at the time of the draft, and I think he can come in and service a competing team right away. Like, a Lakers, I think he would be good on, Denver especially, and like I mentioned before, Detroit. But I see it in this kid. I see something. I think that he could be maybe not a star, but a really good, serviceable player in this league. Speaking of guys who could be stars, Keaton Wagler, 6'6" combo guard out of Illinois. I think that he has now solidified himself into the top 6, top 5. I think him and Acuff kind of go hand in hand. I think it's pretty much, what you want. Do you want a 6'6" combo, or do you want, the 6'4" high usage pick and roll guy? Either one can work in the league today. And if it was me building a team, me personally, I think I would go Keaton Wagler just because I kind of prefer my bigger guards. But that's no hate to Darius Acuff. He's been amazing. It's going to be amazing. But personally, I would take Wagler over Acuff. So I would probably have him sitting at 5 right now. Obviously, he still has more games to play with the Final Four on Saturday and maybe even a national championship. But without those 2 games, he's been super impressive over the course of this year. 17.9 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 40% from 3. You just can't get any better than that, especially with the duties that he's been tasked at Illinois. Being a primary ball handler, a pick and roll ball handler, and still being able to shoot 40% from 3. You just can't ask for much more from a combo guard. Obviously, his inside game could use a little work, being able to finish around the rim. He's not super athletic, so it's kind of hard to get over guys, but he's crafty and he plays at his own pace, which I love. He kind of plays with a pace, kind of like a Luka, like a Cade and a Shea, where you're not really going to speed them up and they're just going to play their game until you have to play their game, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I think he understands the game really, really well. He uses his angles well, kind of like Luka, like I just mentioned. He's able to see the floor really well at 6'6", like Cade. He may not be the passer that Cade is, but I have seen that he's able to make a swing pass off a pick and roll. He obviously can make a pocket pass. He's made some really good, tough passes over the course of this year. And I think at the next level, especially as a combo guard, even if you want to play him at point guard, obviously he fits just right in with this league. He's not the most athletic kid on the floor, but like a lot of the guys in the league are not athletic. Jokic isn't athletic, MVP. Shea isn't super athletic. Obviously, he still is athletic, but he's not, the athlete that people are kind of projecting that a lot of guys have to be. MVP. Luka, not athletic. MVP, should be an MVP eventually. You know what I mean? I think that his athleticism is kind of overblown. I think, 6'6" plus wingspan, only 185 right now. If he can get that maybe to 190, 195, don't want to go too big. But I think if he can get that up along with the rest of his measurables, he's going to be perfectly fine in this league on the offensive end. And I think he could be serviceable on the defensive end. Like I said, I have him sitting right above Acuff. I definitely have him over Flemings and all the guards. I think that he's obviously would be the number 2 shooting guard, but I think that you could maybe put him in the best point guard in the draft conversations. But that's just me, man. Don't shoot the messenger. If you have Acuff over Wagler, I'm not. It's really not that big of a deal to me. It's honestly what you prefer, and I just kind of prefer my bigger guards. Last but not least, Isaiah Evans, coming out of Duke. I have some mixed feelings about this one, I'm not gonna lie. I loved Isaiah Evans coming out of high school. I wanted him to come to UNC so bad. I thought that he could be like the next great UNC wing to come out and go into the draft and, shine in the league. Obviously, he went to Duke behind Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple, coming off the bench, not really seeing a lot of time, kind of really just being a spot up shooter. And I hated that for him. I'm not gonna lie. I think that he can create his own shot. He can, get it off the bounce. Obviously, he's a great shooter, so that just helps with his 3-level scoring. And I don't think that he was in the correct role last year. So for him to come back to Duke this year, kind of show what I already knew that he could do and improve his draft stock. Throughout the course of the year, he was kind of a second round pick, mid-second round, early second round, but I think now he's solidified himself as a first round pick and possibly even like a top 25, top 20 pick. You can really attest to this tourney run as to why his stock has risen. I mean, he's been the guy for Duke. Obviously, they have Cam Boozer, but when the game comes down to the line and they need a big shot, they've been going to Isaiah Evans, and he's been knocking down these shots. Obviously, he had the one blunder at UConn where not putting his hand up on defense. Let's just call that a wash. Outside of that, during the tournament, he has played lights out. And even during the entire year, he's played really well, averaging 15 points a game, 3 rebounds, only shooting 36% from 3, but even last year, he shot 40%. So, I mean, I'm not really worried about his shot at all. I think the biggest trait that he's shown over March Madness run is his ability to score at all 3 levels. Obviously, we knew he could shoot the 3. I think that he's shown that he can shoot the pull-up midi, 1 dribble, 2 dribble, spin, whatever way you want it. And I think that he's also shown that he's able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. And I think that was something that was a glaring concern last year that I think he's kind of quieted the noise on that this year. I think that he can be a really good spark plug coming off the bench for a contender immediately, just giving you intensity, giving you scoring. And I mean, those are two things coming off the bench that you're going to need. I think a team like maybe the Atlanta Hawks, obviously Detroit, like I said, they need shot making and shooting. Denver would be good for him. LA would probably be good for him. I think that there's a lot of spots in that late 20s that he can go and immediately come in and carve out a role in the NBA. Those are my 2026 NBA draft stock risers post March Madness tournament. Let me know in the comments, do you agree? Do you disagree? Who do you think rose their stock during this tournament? Who do you think stock has fallen during the tournament? Y'all let me know in the comments, man. It's been your boy Corey from Between 94, and I'm out.